Welcome everybody, welcome to our live stream today. Bienvenue, bonjour tout le monde, ravi que vous soyez tous avec nous. This live stream is dedicated to you, Canadian exporters who want to grow their business. So we're really delighted. We know you all are fed up with virtual events. So we're really, really delighted that you could join us. We want to talk about growing your business, growing your sales, your export brand, your business in Latin America and the Caribbean. My name is Susanna Hardy, and I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. IBT Online is a full-stack online marketing company, and we're known for our international business, and so we're delighted that you could join us today. Also in the hot seats today, we have Pierre Hamel, Consul and Senior Trade Commissioner at the Canadian Consulate General, based in Miami, and Trade Commissioner at the Canadian Consulate General, Matthew Waldron, also in Miami. I am also delighted to be joined by my colleague and online marketing specialist, Ghita Benhadda, who's also based in Miami. So there's definitely a theme of Miami theme going on here. This is a live stream, so we do encourage you to pop any questions you might have in the chat box and reach out with us, reach out with any concerns. This is a live stream, it's informal, it's live. You know, anything you've been wondering about but afraid to ask, now is your moment. In this live stream, we'll be reviewing how Canadian companies can really leverage online business development tools, international e-commerce techniques, grant programs, digital marketing strategies, and all the resources that the Canadian government, the Canadian Consulate General has available for you and using Miami as a gateway. The live stream is actually the first of several initiatives between IBT Online and the Canadian Consulate General in Miami. So please stay tuned. We will address all the main issues and pain points that the Canadian exporters typically feel, especially as they're going into the Latin American markets. We're going to have a series of webinars where we dive deeper into digital support that the Canadian Consulate in Florida offers and that you need to take advantage of. So please watch out for those webinar announcements and sign up. These are important ones. I know you have way too many virtual experiences, but this one is an important one for you. It's totally dedicated to you, Canadian exporters. And it's how best you can take advantage of the services offered by Pierre, Matt, and the team, and also of the online services that we have. And please do subscribe if you haven't already. We encourage you to do so soon. In fact, you can sign up now. My colleagues will drop a link to the first webinar on 13th of April in the chat box. That's enough of an introduction. Jean-Pierre, maybe we could start with you giving us all a little taster of some of the amazing services and support offered by the Canadian Consulate General here in Miami. Jean-Pierre.
Thank you so much, Susanna, and good day to all from, well, gray and rainy Miami today. I'm pleased that you were able to join us as we are developing that series of webinars, as Susanna mentioned. So today is going to be a little bit introduction, and again, just thank you to IBT Online to accompany us in this journey. Je voulais mentionner, comme l'a fait Susanna, que même si notre présentation aujourd'hui est en anglais, n'hésitez pas à poser des questions ou à nous écrire dans la langue officielle de votre choix. Mais pour peut-être démarrer, to start with, I'd like to maybe do a brief introduction of the Canadian Trade Commissioner Service. Many of you, I'm sure, already know us or have worked with our colleagues around the world. I just wanted to remind people who we are, what we do. We have 16 offices in the US, and across the world, there's about 150 locations among our consulates, our embassies, or trade offices where you can find a Canadian Trade Commissioner to assist you. How do you find us? Let me just put something in the chat here, and hopefully that works. tradecommissioner.gc.ca is probably your best and easiest way to reach us. So generally speaking, our mandate is to maximize economic benefits in Canada. So we do that through export promotion assistance, investment attraction, and also in recent years, more of science and technology agreement-related activities. And by the way, 93% of our clients, Canadian clients, are SMEs. So on the export side, what we do on behalf of Canadian clients and companies such as yours, we identify business leads in our respective markets. We find agents, distributors. We participate, organize, or lead promotional events in Canada and abroad. And the less pleasant part is the troubleshooting when something goes wrong. But hopefully, through our service, you can be prepared to avoid those issues. And on the investment attraction side, well, you probably know what we do, but basically, we call on foreign firms that we feel are ready to expand in Canada. And then we work with our partners on the Canadian side to ensure that they are received. So again, there, the aim of attracting investment is to create economic benefits in Canada, mostly jobs, technology, but also more and more to have a richer and bigger supply chain system in Canada. We do that, obviously, not alone, but with partners. We have an excellent network of partners in Canada, regional offices in each provinces. We have our provincial colleagues that also are connected to the export promotion scene, so close partners. A couple of national institutions that, again, are key for you as an exporter, Export Development Canada, obviously EDC, that does export finance, risk mitigation, such as insurance products, account receivable, and so on. And the other, perhaps less known entity that I've worked with a number of times in the Caribbean and Latin America is the Canadian Commercial Corporation, the CCC. The CCC usually acts as that's in the context of government-to-government contracts, but it's basically the contracting party on the Canadian side where you are the supplier. So this is an institution that's key in many markets, particularly developing market. And again, that will tie in nicely with the gateway to Latin America and the Caribbean initiative that we are leading. On the investment side, our main partners, as I said, are federal, provincial, and municipal traction investment agency. And since these organizations usually deal with site-specific issues once we convince a foreign company to invest in Canada. So finally, just to close on that, a brief word on the less traditional initiatives that we've been leading in recent years. And perhaps I'll focus on the Canadian technology accelerators, so-called CTAs. So we have CTAs in a number of markets. Here in the US, we have CTAs in New York, in California, in the Mideast, in Boston, and they're along various sectoral lines. So technically what they do is once you're accepted into a TCA program as a Canadian company that has a product or a service ready to market, you will receive mentoring, you will receive introductions to potential investors, venture capitalists, and hopefully get your pitch, your sales pitch ready for the market that you're looking at. In this case, in the US. So I think I'll stop here, and we'll come back in more details on the gateway theme. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. Matthew, now, if I could also turn to you, have actually some general questions about companies. I wondered if you could take some of those on. Why export? What's the challenge? And what about Latin America?
Well, I think simply why export is a matter of resilience and market development. As I said, you're not going to catch more fish in the same size pond. You need to be able to go somewhere for more things. And historically, I always try to lead my sales pitches with the idea that this is what's in it for me. What we do here with the Canadian government, this growth, this export development is good for the GDP, so it's good for you and me at the end of the day. But it helps you in the same way. The historical performance of exporters is that they're more profitable, more stable, and more resilient to changes in the market and little hiccups that come along. So by reaching out there, you're shoring up your market, you're looking for new and alternative spaces, you're finding new markets, you're pushing the envelope with technology and more that we'll go over here going forward. But at the end of the day, you're driving the network and scale that you need to become a real player. And it's what takes you from SMEs, as JP mentioned, that's 80% of our business, and also the biggest driver in both the US and Canadian economies are small to medium-sized businesses. But you don't become medium or large without going through developing new markets. In other words, you need to become worldly to conquer the world, which basically, export facilitates the adoption of international best practices, transfer knowledges among firms, work with R&D. Everything you've found to make your product better as it's gone global helps on the way back. Diversification is also very important to you. It brings in new markets, new channels, new availabilities and opportunities that can help you basically spread out and mitigate your risk and your variance. To do that, we can tie it all back there. Of course, the TCS is here to help you find those locations, find people that are able to help you out and work with it to overcome the usual challenges that you're going to run into as an exporter. In those are things like increased cost. What do I do? What should my margin expect? What will the local market take? We can help with that or get you in front of the people that will. Have you put down the level of commitment? It takes a level of commitment. If you don't, I often tell people, especially in any kind of commercial physical good, if you don't have someone who's fully dedicated to this as you do to the next province over, then you're not looking at it correctly. You need to have someone who's got a full-time commitment to your export situation. It'll help you in staying in for the long haul. As variants and different kind of things come around, you'll be stable, you'll have other markets, and you'll be able to develop in there. Often there's problems with language and cultural differences. We mentioned before that we've got programs like Can Export that are out there to help you pay back 50% of, I think, is it $75,000 or $100,000 to help you modify your product, your literature, your advertising for those new markets and things on that side. I do apologize. I'm hearing a loud hit coming through, and I hope that's not transferring. And we talk about different ways of getting accessibility in there, finding competition, finding out what your competition is doing and that sort of thing, and then, working from there. I've got a great list of links for you that our associate is going to put up right now. One is the TCS step-by-step guide for exporting from Canada. The next one is a guide for exporting specifically commercial goods. And finally, our Are You Ready to Go Global quiz on the TCS website, which will take you through, have you answered those questions? Have you put the right people on there? Do you have the boat heading out of the dock in the right direction to make it where you're going to go? And that's a very important piece. And it brings us to the whole title of what we're doing here, which is why Florida? Why a gateway to Latin America and the Caribbean? Geography has a lot to do with it. There are very few places in the world where you can drop into Canada's biggest market in the United States and get such great access to the Latin American and Caribbean markets as well. And of course, Canada's been working on opening up those markets and helping out. We've got 8 free trade agreements with the top performers across Latin and Central America. We've got offices that cover the entirety of the region with the TCS to help you on the ground. We've got the ability to network you globally, but here in Miami, if you set up here, you're going to find the business capital of Latin America, whether unofficially or officially, is here in Miami. And there are businesses, service providers, and others that are now set up that naturally channel things either into the whole of the Latin American Caribbean market or very specialized on each country. So Florida gives you the ability to find those skills and tools, put yourself at a place where the ports and the airports run 50% of sea cargo and 80% of air cargo to Latin America and the Caribbean. You've got third-party logistics providers, you've got free trade zones, you've got everything you could possibly need on there. South Florida, as I said, is kind of that unofficial hub. It's going through a huge boom right now. We haven't tested everything else, but you're seeing a lot of money investors and things kind of move as well. So we're seeing technologists, technology, and new innovators coming into the area. So by coming down here, you get access to new people doing that and inflating your particular value and ability to go through. I mentioned that the market is very much growing right now. Mercosur, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, is the fourth largest trading bloc in the world. Canadians sold over $13.2 billion worth of goods to Latin America, and that was 2017. As we go through that and look at these top performers, which have been outlined, and I'm happy if you get in touch with us to send you some of that data, but it puts into mind that you're ignoring something that's a fast-growing, very similar, very competitive market that you can easily transfer to. And what Florida gives you is the ability to pivot there and take advantage of the natural channeling and things that are through there. It also gives you one thing that's kind of a blind spot to many, even American companies, and that's the size of the U.S. Latino market. It's huge. It's worth well over $2.6 trillion in the market, and it makes it about the world's 8th largest economy by itself. So if you're thinking of that, wow, I pick up U.S. Latinos, I pick up Latinos in Latin America, I pick up the Caribbean, done pretty well. And you're also developing the future of those Canadian markets as we've got a definite increase in Latinos and Caribbean immigrants to Canada. So those products that you're developing, the names, the trust, and everything you're developing can actually come back to you in the domestic market as well. TCS already has help in place, as I mentioned. We've got partners to help you with market entry strategies. We've got the folks at Export Development Canada to help guarantee your financing and your trade pieces in there. And of course, the Trade Commissioner Service there to make introductions, introduce you to the markets, find qualified experts, and help you through the initial hurdles. That's my pitch, and I've run myself hoarse. So let me hand it back to Susanna.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Those are some very impressive trade numbers. And I'm also actually especially pleased that Matthew highlighted the Spanish-speaking market in the USA, and in fact, some of the growing Spanish-speaking market in Canada. We often find that the websites and marketing that we're doing for our clients in, say, Mexico, has a great effect for the Spanish-speaking people in the USA and in the Caribbean. So, having, say, a Latin America website or a strategy for those areas actually punches above the weight. Really does have a great return on investment. But let's start with some why as well, some of those big why questions. And again, this is really just sort of to give you a taster of what we're going to be going through in more detail in these webinars. But just to give you some of the the highlight points about it. So, the why. Now, I know we're not supposed to give lots of numbers on these things. It turns everyone off. But hold on. These are such important numbers. I think it's worth it anyway. So we're 8 billion people on the planet. It's a lot. 5 billion of that 8 billion is plugged into the internet. And of that 5 billion, 4.5 billion use social media. So 5 billion people are on the internet, 4.5 billion are using online marketing, social media. And they're not just using it like every now and then. The average time spent on the internet per day for that 5 billion is 7 hours. Just shy of 7 hours. So 7 hours a day, 5 billion people. If you are a small, medium cap company, you know where your prospects are. They're online. And you know how to reach them through your online strategy. So this is it's a tremendous tool for you as a Canadian exporter to punch above your weight, to be right there in front of your prospects and to be building brand awareness. And digital footprints are arguably more important for exporters than for your domestic market. In your domestic market, let's say, you're from New Brunswick or something, and there you are. People know you in New Brunswick. They might know you in Ontario, the other Atlantic provinces. But, if you're trying to get, that you could have good business in, say, Costa Rica or Brazil, well, then how do you get your name out there? The best way is via the internet. It has the highest return on investment of any type of exporting strategy. Lots of studies also show that this is an increasing. Buyers be all looking for research connecting, that they want less direct contact before making up their mind. So the internet is a very competitive place. You need to have a marketing strategy as well. But in today's world, you can have a really high-functioning website, e-commerce enabled or not, and a good online marketing strategy, which can get you good returns on investment. Latin America and the Caribbean is a perfect place for it, arguably easier than the USA. Your Latin American audience is extremely plugged in. When I said that the average for the entire world is 7 hours a day, the average time spent on the internet for Latin Americans, 8.5 hours a day. 8.5 hours a day. The average number of WhatsApp groups for Mexico, over 30 per person. I mean, I've got about 10, but over 30 per person. So this is a very plugged in, very reactive place that spends an awful lot of time, usually on their phone, mobile first markets, and that you can engage with in a very direct, very meaningful way, touching out, reaching out to prospects when they want to find you in the way they want to find you. And it's that last bit which is important. That's called localization. So when we say go global, we actually mean go local. So your Mexican prospect, he's going to look for you on Google.mx. He's going to look in Mexican Spanish. He's going to use Mexican Spanish keywords. He's going to trust websites that have a .com.mx on it, that is digitally compliant for Mexico, and so on. So you need to be there in the way that your prospective clients want to find you. The world is too competitive just to say, well, here I am sitting up in Hamilton, Ontario. I'm sure they'll find me. I've got a great product. They won't. You need to go and find them by putting yourself out there, be ready to be found in the way they want to be found at the time and in the place. And if that's, for example, if you... We've very pleased as well to have developed something called the Canada Online Global Programs. These are tailored to small mid-cap companies who want to export and use their website and online marketing to do so. And we'll give you lots more detail about websites, online marketing for Latin America and the Caribbean later with Ghita, and also on these webinars. So please do sign up. Ghita, maybe you tell us a little bit about the Online Global Programs on marketing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Susanna, and hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be here today to share some of my insights and experiences with you about marketing strategies for businesses looking to expand their reach in Latin America and the Caribbean. So let's talk about marketing in this region. One of the most crucial aspects of marketing in this region is creating a top-notch localized website. So this means going beyond more than just translation and adapting your messaging and content to the unique cultural characteristic of each country. By digging deep into the local audiences, the behaviors, the attitude, the values, you can build a strong connection with potential customers and effectively communicate your brand message. So IBT Online has been helping clients expand their business in the Latin American market for years, and have found that understanding the buyer persona is another key factor in marketing success. It's very important to recognize that the buyer persona in Mexico, for example, is not the same as the one in the US or Canada. So by conducting in-depth research into the local audiences, the demographic, the psychographics, and the consumer behavior patterns, you can tailor your marketing campaigns to resonate with the target audience and drive conversions. The other main point, and that's a very important one, is keywords. So choosing the right keywords is critical to the success of any marketing campaign. For example, many of our clients at first think that using the same keywords when they are targeting two different markets in Latin America, in the Latin American market is correct, but it's not. Although I understand the logic behind it, it's the same language, Spanish, etc. So they all should have the same keywords, but it could be a keyword that performs well in one country may not be as effective in another. Spanish is the primary language in Latin America and the Caribbean, that's correct. But each country has its unique colloquialism, and expressions that can significantly impact keyword performance. Also, another point here, what we've seen that with most of the clients that we have that are targeting different countries in Latin America, that the engagement rates can also vary significantly across different countries. For example, from our experience with our clients' audiences in Latin America and the Caribbean, tend to be more engaged with marketing content than those in the US or Canada. But again, it's crucial to understand the unique culture and behavioral threats of each country to create marketing campaigns that truly resonates with your marketing, with your target audience. When it comes to marketing channels and platforms, what works well in the US or Canada may not be as effective in Latin America and the Caribbean. I'll give you an example here. Many of our clients don't get good results with Facebook in the Canadian market, maybe because they are more B2B oriented and not, as we all know, not so many B2B companies in Canada use Facebook or even in the US. But that might not be the case at all in Mexico, for example. We found that they got really good results using Facebook. So my point is, understanding these differences is essential to creating a successful localized marketing strategy. And based on the years of experience that we have at IBT Online, we understood that in order to have a successful marketing strategy in Latin America and the Caribbean, it requires a deep understanding of the local audience language, the culture and the behavior. And it's also important to take the time to conduct all the in-depth research, as I mentioned earlier. That way you can create a powerful localized marketing strategy that drives growth. And with our knowledge and experience, we can help your business navigate the unique challenges of the region and drive growth. In fact, we've helped many clients successes by creating localized websites and targeted marketing campaigns. We've helped them grow the traffic by more than 90% in the Latin America and the Caribbean countries, increase the engagement, find them distributors, and help them build brand awareness. But credibility and trust are the foundation of everything. In fact, it's the one of the most crucial steps that any company should take to establish credibility and trust with the target audience. This is where having a domain adapted to the country can make all the difference. For example, if your business is targeting Mexico, having a .mx domain name will not only make it easier for your potential customers to find you online, but it will also show a sense of local authority and legitimacy. There are many research out there that show that customers are more likely to trust and do business with websites that have a domain name tailored to the country. So investing in website localization and having a domain name tailored to the country you're targeting is essential if you want to build credibility and trust with your target audience. And if you're interested in learning more, as Susanna mentioned earlier, be sure to join our webinar where we'll be sharing even more takeaways and case studies. And voilà, Jean-Pierre, tell us a little bit more about the resources and opportunities you have for Canadian exporters.
Sure. Thank you, Ghita. And just as a little story here, what you were saying about segmentation of online presence is really true, and I see it here in Miami, in South Florida. I just opened a Facebook account a couple of weeks ago, which I thought I would never have to do, because who uses Facebook other than family and friends in Canada? But here it is, particularly in relation with some Latin American friends and Caribbean friends as well. As you said, Facebook is a platform that seems to be more relevant to them for business and so on. So that's an important factor. So in terms of resources, obviously, you guys, IBT Online, are resources, and there's, I'm sure, other service providers that can help Canadian companies. On the Canadian government toolbox. Matthew mentioned already the Can Export program. In the same website that I hope that everybody can see in the chat box, tradecommissioner.gc.ca, there is a section on financing, and you can find more information on Can Export. Basically, you have to be an SME to qualify, and there's two windows. One is basically to conduct export promotion related activities, but that could also include preparing yourself, developing tools such as online presence. It could also be for research, for reports, for studies, participating in trade fairs, for example, outside of Canada. Also protecting your IP. So those funds can be used for that. The other window of, and I'm looking at my notes here because it's administered in Canada, so we don't necessarily get directly involved here. But the other window is for technology related science. So if you want to secure technology that you do not have and you need in your business in order to make your product more competitive, this is the kind of thing that can be funded. So the first window in terms of promotional activities, $50,000, and to look at the eligibility criteria, it's probably simpler to just go in the website. And the other S&T Science and Technology program is actually $75,000 that you can access in order to support your international activities. Some provinces have similar programs, so you may want to check with your export promotion entities in provinces. And I mentioned early on some of our partners that would also have a series of programs available to Canadian companies to support their export activity. So I think I'll stop there. Again, we're always willing to assist if there's a specific question. Don't hesitate to contact us for that. And on that, I think I'll just ask Matthew to, wrap up and give a quick snapshot of what we said, and more importantly, what's coming up. And I should probably just share with you it's related to the Gateway to the America concept. But when I first arrived in Miami, I remember that our friends from, it was Enterprise Florida, but, in their presentation, they would say, what's lovely with South Florida, with Miami, is that it's so close to the United States. And at first I thought it was, it's kind of cute, but it's at the same time very true. We live here in the Caribbean. We live in Latin America. We sometimes forget that Spanish, yes, is probably the predominant foreign language in South Florida, but Portuguese as well, because there's a large Brazilian community, including business community, and it makes life very interesting. But also, as Matthew said, it's an incredible gateway to do business in the rest of the hemisphere. So Matthew, over to you.
Thank you very much, JP. I appreciate that. And I also want to mention that on top of our federal tools, your province and even your city may have export and development programs as well. So be sure and ask about those with us on the other side to make sure those get locked in. To wrap things up here, folks, the reason to go about exporting, the reason to go about developing yourself is to increase your markets, increase your resilience, increase your stability, grow a better technical product, grow a world beater, grow scale, grow economies of scale, grow size and scope. That kind of stability and that kind of growth is not only good for you and your employees, it's great for Canada. So that's why we're all in the same boat together. That's why us and the rest of the TCS exist in a network around the world to help you make that a reality. As I've often told people over 15 years of doing this, your economic development partner basically takes the scary out of export. If you're ready to go and you're ready to put in the effort, we're the right people to be talking to for the next step.
Matthew, Jean-Pierre, thank you very, very much. That's a great bow. That's a great bow. Yeah. Thank you. There's a couple of questions that have come in as well. I want to sort of field some of those. Before I do, I wanted also just to highlight a couple of other big takeaways. Obviously, one of the major ones is that there's a lot of resources out there for you. Take advantage of them. Get in touch with Matthew, Jean-Pierre, or us. Get in touch, reach out for the people that you need it. And the Jean-Pierre has gone through very quickly some of those resources. There's a long, long list. So do take advantage of them. They're there for you. Another conclusion: Latin America and the Caribbean are fantastic markets for exporters. They are very receptive. They are interested. They engage. You've got CSUMA. You've got trade agreements, Mercosur as well. Go for it. Make sure your products are right. Everything's lined up. Go for it. There's a fantastic market, and you've got the added benefit. If you're going to Latin America, you could well see a good bump of your sales in the United States and indeed even in Canada. A third takeaway from our point of view, from the point of view of an online company, online tools are no longer a nice to have. They are a must have, and they are the best way for you to engage and get your brand out there and grow your sales and exports in these export markets. So a couple of questions have come in. There's two. I'm going to go first to Ghita. I'm going to combine two questions, if that's okay, Ghita. One is about videos in Latin America, are they important or not? And there's a sub question to that: subtitles on videos. So that. Yeah.
So, sorry, the videos is an important format, especially nowadays. It's extremely trending. So using this format can really help with your marketing campaigns as well as your organic engagement. And then you mentioned, Susanna, the subtitles, right? So subtitles are a must because using them can make your video more accessible and understandable to a wider audience as well.
Okay, great. I'm going to throw this one at Jean-Pierre and Matthew.
Trend of up. I was just adding on to that. There's the interesting trend of YouTube users that are now over 25% of users watch with subtitles on. So if you're using AI or automated subtitles that aren't really good and aren't really right, you're not doing yourself a huge favor to that group. And the Netflix percentage is closing on 40 of people who watch movies with the subtitles on. I thought it was me because I was getting old and couldn't hear, but it turns out it is an important piece of communication.
The question I'm gonna throw to Jean-Pierre and Matt. I'm not totally sure I completely understand the question, so I could bring it back for more clarification. But it's just any comments you would have about offshore production for Canadian LLC.
So maybe I can start
production in a foreign market.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just go first quickly. This is what we used to call Canadian direct investment abroad, I guess. So yes, producing goods or services for that matter outside of Canada. In many cases, it is a reality. It's a need. It makes you more competitive, and hopefully there will be some economic development back in Canada. So we would support that. Obviously. As government would not proactively get involved in replacing jobs or economic developments in Canada, so that's not the idea there. But I think nowadays this is the reality. So we're working with a number of Canadian companies that are established in foreign markets, and we assist them oftentimes with different type of services. But we do work, yes, with our Canadian companies operating outside of Canada.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. There's one which I'm going to answer, which is, when is this webinar and how do I sign up? It's the first of 3 webinars on the 13th of April at, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 1:00 p.m. And you can sign up. I think our colleague will put that in the chat box. Otherwise, if you've registered for this, we will be sending you an email with a link to that webinar. So please, or else you can go on to our website, ibt.onl, and our colleague has also sent the link in the chat box. A question, I think, to either Matthew or JP: is there assistance to help build out my e-commerce website to Latin America?
Yeah, in fact, there is. The Can Export program I mentioned specifically has things in there for localizing your language. So as we talked about, even if you're, say, already selling in Mexico, but wanted to refine your Spanish for the Chilean or Colombian market, that can count towards that, even in the same language. But adding new languages, prepping for a new market, finding new channels, and having a good, understandable commercial interaction on your website all count.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay, we did promise people to get them back at their desks within 45 minutes. So I'm going to sort of wrap up with a big thank you to Jean-Pierre and Matthew for your assistance, for all those resources. And I would encourage companies to reach out directly and check out the website that Jean-Pierre put in the chat box. Also, a big shout out and thank you to Rita for joining me and talking about online marketing. She's a tremendous asset. Rita knows a wealth of knowledge on online marketing and always there to help our clients on this. We do hope to see you all at our webinar on the 13th of April. We will be giving you a lot of takeaways, practical advice, and specifics about Latin America and what support you can look at there.